This week, I got to celebrate my very first St. Patrick's Day parade in Dublin, Ireland. And I wanted to show you some footage that I took of it if you haven't seen a St. Patrick's Day parade before. It was cold. It wasn't too cold, but I am very sensitive to the cold weather, so I was chilled to the bone. And the parade didn't start until 45 minutes after it was supposed to start. I think they call that Irish people time here, but it was a lot of fun. And there were a lot of different people there, a lot of different groups that participated in the parade. There were high school bands from America, so there were bands that I saw from North Carolina and Georgia and Texas, which I loved because I'm from Texas. Many of you already know this, but many of you might also not know this. I am originally from Texas, but I've been living in Dublin, Ireland since last June. I am part Irish, along with an amalgam of other nationalities, including Italian and German. And even though I'm part Irish, I never grew up with any Irish customs. The most Irish thing about me is a deep and profound love of potatoes. And even though it was incredibly awesome to experience St. Patrick's Day in Ireland, which one would think would be the most authentic of all, the most authentic St. Patrick's Day parade would actually be back in America, because that is where St. Patrick's Day parade started. There is a little bit of debate regarding the first ever St. Patty's Day parade, but the first parades probably happened in Boston in 1737 and then New York in 1762. These parades started as a way for American colonists of Irish descent to celebrate their Irish heritage. These celebrations became more and more frequent, especially after the potato famine in Ireland occurred between 1845 and 1852. The potato famine wasn't the only reason for mass immigration to America from Ireland, but it was a very large part of the reason why there were so many people who emigrated and why now there are so many people in America who claim Irish descent. Over 36 million people in America alone and 80 million total worldwide. That's absolutely amazing to me. To now know a little bit more about Ireland's history, and just knowing that this tiny little country who suffered through a horrible famine in the late 1800s and suffered through many, many, many years of oppression, now have over 80 million people with ancestors from Ireland. Fun fact about me, I never really celebrated St. Patrick's Day the way many Americans do. I always wanted to be top to bottom in green lipstick, green eyeshadow, kiss me I'm Irish shirt, big floppy green hat, green glasses, but every year I would completely forget about it because I can be very forgetful. And I'm actually pretty glad now in retrospect, because I never looked like a silly American girl who knew nothing about St. Patrick's Day other than to wear green. Of course, I would get pinched sometimes, because if you don't wear green, you get pinched. This is a tradition that was almost entirely made up by Americans. One source I read said that it was made up around the 1700s by a Boston colony. And the reason was, if you don't wear green, the leprechauns could see you and then they would pinch you. So this is just complete fabrication. because there's no evidence in Irish folklore to suggest that leprechauns couldn't see you if you wore green. In fact, leprechauns in Irish folklore didn't wear green at all. They were known to wear red frock coats. So, most likely the image that you have of a leprechaun is completely Americanized and not Irish. For myself, I always imagine leprechauns looked like the leprechaun from Lucky Charms, a popular American cereal. And yeah, no, completely different. The way I have seen Americans and some other countries as well celebrate St. Patrick's Day is they wear a lot of green and primarily use the holiday as an excuse to get drunk, wasted, binge drink, whatever you want to call it. Many of them don't know a thing about this holiday's origins. And if this is something that you do or have done, I'm not at all trying to lecture you. St. Patrick's Day has evolved into a very fun day, and I don't want to take that away from you. I simply want to provide you with more information that might open your eyes figuratively so that perhaps next St. Patty's Day you can approach it a little bit differently. Another thing to add here is that St. Patty's Day is spelled with 2 D's, not Patty's Day. That would allude to the name Patricia, not to Pádraig, which is what Paddy derives from, the Irish Gaelic name Pádraig. I think that in general, not just speaking about St. Patrick's Day, that it's so important to not celebrate a holiday blindly or with naivete, but with at least a little bit of knowledge of that holiday's origins. And in that way, you can respect the culture surrounding the holiday. And that's what I think knowing about holidays comes down to. Respect. Respect for another's cultures and or traditions and or religion and or beliefs. I think so much more world peace could be accomplished if we just had a little more respect for each other in those regards. I've been hearing a lot, and especially recently with the current state of world affairs, that religion causes more wars than anything. And I disagree with that. I don't think that religion causes wars. I think intolerance causes wars. I'm digressing a little bit here, but intolerance can be embedded in almost anything. Religious intolerance, racial intolerance, opinion intolerance. I don't wholly agree with the saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Because that doesn't allow someone to give even a critique or feedback. This is something that I've noticed lately, especially in the YouTube community. I often see someone write a comment that is respectful, but still provides constructive feedback, which isn't really positive. And the commenter is often attacked by people on the defensive who say, if you don't like this video, move on. You don't have to watch it. Don't say anything at all. Just click another video. Just click another video. And I want to stress to you that if you don't like something, that's okay. You don't have to jump on the bandwagon for every popular belief. You don't have to feel that you can only contribute with an opinion that is the status quo. I've noticed that free speech is selective. Those that talk about things that are acceptable, they are allowed to have free speech, but those who chime in with an opinion that is not the most popular opinion get attacked for it. And I just don't think that's okay. You should feel allowed to offer your opinion or your critiques or your feedback. I just encourage you to do so with respect and as much as you can without a judgmental or self-righteous tone. Now, if you have an opinion that wishes to cause harm to another being or another group, then I'm not defending you in this case. I'm talking about opinions that don't wish any sort of harm on anyone else. I think it's so important to find the balance with everything in life, and in this case between open-mindedness and steadfastness, finding the balance between humility and self-righteousness. I realize that a super silly, fun holiday such as St. Patrick's Day is what started this topic and started my super seriousness. But if you don't know much about St. Patrick's Day, you might know that it didn't originate at all as a fun holiday. It was a day to honor St. Patrick. It was a day that remembered his death. His death was on March 17th, about that time. I don't think there were any real birth records in the 400s. But I don't think many Americans know that. And for the record, I say Americans because I am American, and therefore I can speak to that. I have first-hand knowledge of the way many Americans do things, so I'm not going to speak for any other countries because I have no idea really how many other countries go about celebrating St. Patrick's Day. But yes, St. Patrick's Day was more of a day of solemnity, and for Christians, Catholics, it was a day during Lent, so until the 1970s, all the pubs were closed. And one would celebrate St. Patrick's Day by going to Mass and reflecting on the life of St. Patrick. And I would love to hear from fellow Irish people of what they think when they see the way St. Patrick's Day has been commercialized, and if they mind all the drunkenness and blind celebrations, or if they don't mind. And please correct me if I've said anything wrong, or if you disagree with me about points. I would really like to hear your perspective on this. Living in Ireland has been an eye-opening experience for me. And because I'm part Irish, it's pretty wonderful to learn more about Ireland's history and culture and traditions and food. Food is a very cultural thing. And just find out more about it because it's where a big portion of my family comes from. If I hadn't moved to Ireland, I probably still wouldn't know a lot at all about Ireland's history. Save maybe the potato famine, which I still didn't know very much at all about. But I don't want to stop there. I don't want to just learn about another culture because it's relative to me. I want to become more open-minded in general and become more accepting and tolerant and more knowledgeable of other cultures and lifestyles and beliefs. Those are such keys to connecting more with other people as well and improving our communication with others, improving our I even have to take the time to remind myself the importance of each holiday that I've been celebrating all my life as an American. In general, Thanksgiving has become less about giving thanks, and for many, it's about collecting coupons for the day after on Black Friday, when we all forget about giving thanks and think more about wanting to get more of what we want and don't need. Christmas has become less a season of love and more a season of desperation and of shopping and frantically making sure every person has been bought for. Memorial Day, many Americans have a barbecue and forget to remember why Memorial Day is around. I know that many other countries have their own Memorial Day. I've talked to quite a few people who are just stunned by the disrespect that many Americans show on Memorial Day. On the 4th of July, we have another barbecue and go swimming and watch fireworks and forget, really, that the 4th of July is the anniversary of our independence. Even within my own culture, even within my own Americanness, I can be very ignorant and naive sometimes, and I'm going to start working very hard to change that. So, next St. Patrick's Day, instead of mindlessly drinking your green beer with your green attire and looking for people who aren't wearing green to pinch, I hope that you'll take just a little bit of time to learn a little more about it, or remember what you have learned about it, and honor the reason for the day, and in that way, respect the Irish culture and people a little bit more than before. Have a wonderful, restful, peaceful day or night, and I hope that you'll join